The marble floors of the luxury hotel lobby gleamed under the crystal chandeliers, but the beauty of the place was about to be shattered by a scene no one would ever forget. A young woman, 7 months pregnant, walked carefully across the floor, her hands resting protectively on her belly. Her name was Elena, and her heart was already heavy from the cracks in her marriage. She had come to this hotel to meet her husband, Alexander, the powerful CEO whose empire stretched across cities, but instead of finding warmth, she found cruelty waiting. Just as she spotted him, standing with a woman draped in diamonds and arrogance, the mistress stepped forward, her eyes blazing with jealousy. Without warning, she swung her designer bag and struck Elena hard across the shoulder, almost sending her stumbling to the ground. Gasps filled the room. A pregnant wife hit in broad daylight, humiliation and danger colliding in a single moment. And what no one in that glittering lobby knew was that the hotel's head of security, watching silently from the shadows, was Elena's older brother, a former Marine who had bled for his country, and who was about to change everything. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories where love and courage still matter, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support helps keep these emotional journeys alive and reaching more hearts around the world. Elena froze where she stood, the sting of the blow burning into her skin, but the greater pain lay in the betrayal she felt radiating from her husband's silence. Alexander didn't move. He didn't rush to her side, didn't shield her from the venom of his mistress. Instead, he looked torn, ashamed, almost trapped in the very mess he had created. Elena's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, to cry, but her unborn child fluttered within her, reminding her she had to remain strong. She steadied herself against the marble column and swallowed her tears, her voice trembling inside her chest though no words left her lips. From a corner of the lobby, Michael watched, his jaw tightening like steel. Elena didn't know he was there. Years had passed since they last saw each other. Life, grief, and duty had driven them apart. Michael, the tough ex-Marine who had once cradled his baby sister in his arms after their parents' deaths, now worked under an assumed name as the head of security for this very hotel. He had walked through battlefields, but nothing had prepared him for the sight of his sister being struck like this. The predator's rage inside him awakened. He wanted to storm forward, to rip the mistress's arrogance apart, to demand answers from the man who had vowed to protect her. But he held back, because in his discipline, he knew that rushing now could cause more harm than good. Still, the ice in his eyes promised that this would not go unanswered. Elena retreated quietly after the assault, her spirit broken, her heart aching in ways she couldn't describe. She went to her car alone, hands trembling as she fumbled with the keys. She had dreamed of a family built on love, but instead found herself suffocated by her husband's betrayal. Nights were sleepless, her pillow wet with tears. She felt the baby kick when she cried, as if the little one inside her was reminding her that life, fragile yet powerful, was still worth holding onto. Yet fear clawed at her. How could she bring a child into a world where even their father seemed blind to cruelty? Michael could no longer remain in the shadows. That night, he approached Elena quietly, revealing his presence after years apart. At first, she collapsed into his arms in disbelief, her sobs shaking her entire body. She poured out her heart, how Alexander had grown cold, how his mistress haunted her days, how she felt invisible, discarded, unloved. Michael's chest tightened. He had fought enemies with guns and bombs, but nothing had ever hurt him more than seeing his baby sister this broken. He promised her then, in a whisper that carried the weight of a soldier's oath, that no one would harm her again. The days that followed became a quiet storm. Alexander, torn between guilt and desire, spiraled deeper into the mistress's web. The woman, cruel and cunning, flaunted her place at his side, poisoning him with lies about Elena's weakness. But Alexander's mother, an elegant woman with wisdom in her eyes, saw through it all. She visited Elena, bringing her food, stroking her hair, and reminding her that she was still family. In those gentle visits, Elena felt the faint flicker of belonging again. Then came the day when Alexander's empire itself began to crumble. Deals slipped, investors questioned, scandals brewed, because the mistress he trusted had her own agenda. She sought power, wealth, and nothing more. When whispers of betrayal began to circulate, it was Michael who stepped into the light. He gathered evidence, tracked the mistress's dealings, and brought the truth crashing down in front of Alexander's very eyes. The CEO who had thought himself untouchable now stared at the ruins of his trust. And in that moment, Alexander turned and saw Elena, not the quiet woman he had pushed aside, but a mother-to-be who had carried his child with grace despite unbearable pain. He saw her strength, her dignity, her quiet endurance. Shame washed over him like a tidal wave. For the first time in years, he fell to his knees before her, begging for forgiveness, realizing too late what love truly meant. But Elena, standing tall with her brother at her side, did not answer quickly. She had cried enough tears, endured enough blows. Forgiveness was not a gift to hand over easily. Instead, she walked past Alexander, her hand in Michael's, her heart protected by the bond of family that had never abandoned her. She was not alone anymore. Her child would be born into a world where love was defined not by riches or titles, but by loyalty, kindness, and the courage to protect what truly mattered. The story of Elena spread quietly, whispered among those who had witnessed it all. The mistress vanished into obscurity, her diamonds turning to dust. Alexander rebuilt himself, humbled and scarred, knowing he had lost something more precious than all his empires combined. And Elena, she welcomed her child with Michael by her side, her strength shining like a beacon to every woman who had ever been wronged. She found hope, healing, and a new beginning not in wealth, but in the love that had always been hers, her family's unshakable bond. If this story touched your heart, if Elena's resilience and Michael's protection moved you, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your engagement helps these powerful journeys reach more souls who may need a spark of hope. And before we end, special request, comment below what you would do if you were in Elena's place. Would you forgive, or would you walk away?